Hello, Whole Woman listeners, and welcome back. We have got the best show for you today. My name's Kim,
And I'm Rachel.
and Rachel's going to take it from here because we have a super special guest, and she knew her first.
I did know her first. Hi. Well, first of all, say hi, Ange.
Hello, I'm Angela Rakis. Nice to meet you all.
Yes, and she is our guest today. And Angela and I have a very sweet beginning. We met in 2008. She was one of my very first personal training clients in New York City. And she used to come to me at 6 in the frickin' morning before she went to work. But it was like one of those sessions I look forward to, even though I had to come from like Dykeman Heights and get on the subway at 4 in the morning. But I just look forward to seeing her because we had great conversations. We laughed. She had a potty mouth just like me. I mean, it was great. We were like two New York women figuring it out. And I trained her for about a year, and then she dropped the bomb on me that she was moving out of New York City. And I feel like I was a little devastated. I was like, what? What am I going to do without you? But we stayed in touch over the years, and I mean, it's just, she's an amazing woman, and I can't wait for her to tell her story.
Thank you. That's so nice.
Yeah.
It was an amazing time living in New
Hmm.
York and being relatively young and all that good stuff.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, so should I tell you who
Yeah,
I am?
yes,
Yes,
please do.
please.
Angela, I was going to say, go ahead and tell us who you were when Rachel knew you before, what you were doing, and kind of what's brought you to today.
Gotcha. Oh my gosh. So when at that time, I lived in New York City, I want to say about 13 years. So I guess you kind of caught me on the end of my journey in New York. And so I went to New York because I wanted to work in advertising, and we're going to talk about careers and what the path takes us. And I had always been into creativity, things are creative, but sort of the business side of it. Even in college, I do you remember those Absolute Vodka ads? I used to cut those out of the magazine and put them on my walls. Meanwhile, I don't know why my parents allowed that, but it was really the just the visual interest of it. It had nothing to do with Absolute Vodka, but that's kind of what began my interest in just I don't know. It just was like the business side of things, and I knew I was going to go to college and figure out what I wanted to do. I didn't know at the time. I just in fact, my mom was like, "You have a 5 hour radius out of DC," and I was like, "5 hours south, Raleigh, North Carolina." I tried to get to New York at that time, and she was like, "No, you're not going to college in New York City." So I said, "I'll go the other direction," and really didn't know what I was going to study, but I ended up getting a degree in communication, and at an engineering school at NC State, where she said to me, "Gosh, this school is for farmers' kids because we had a big ag school and engineers, and you're not really into math." And I was like, "I'll figure it out." And I feel like that's been my path all along is, well, we'll just figure it out. And I did. And I worked in some ad agencies in college and then was like, okay, now's the time to go and test my skills and see if I could make it work. And I did. And so that's how I got to New York. So I started my career there working in ad agencies and I loved it. I mean, I was young. And so it's like I had enough responsibility that I needed to get to work every day, but not so much that I was in charge of everybody at that time. So it was a good, fun, creative career. I was an account executive, so I didn't work on the creative side, but I was the bridge between clients and creative people, which as a communications person was perfect for me. I kind of like bringing all the sides together. And I got laid off twice, which is one of the things we can talk about. It's at the time it felt so devastating. And honestly, every time it's happened, and it's happened more than twice, it's really been the like sign that there's something else next. So it was hard at first, especially you're living in New York and you're just like, what? How am I supposed to make ends meet? Um, but I think my biggest lesson at that time was to stay connected with people. I consider myself a super connector. I think you mentioned it on my Instagram. I think I pulled it up so I can remember. Um, Connection concierge. That's just something I made up. But I'm interested in connection. And even when I left New York, and Rachel and I we weren't connected as much once I left. We were sort of in touch, but not as much. But when she wrote her book, I was like, this is so cool. I love Rachel. And we reconnected, but I think that was one of those lessons I learned way back. And living in New York, we sort of joke it's about who you know, but it kind of is sometimes. It's not about who you know, like they need to be somebody prestigious. It's like you keep those connections because they're important to you and you're helping each other. My brother at the time worked for hotels in New York. And so, people needed a discount on a hotel because it's so expensive, or we would go for happy hour because he could get us a deal. It was like you kind of just had to negotiate your way through living through how hard it is to live in New York City. So that's how I began. And then once I moved around different agencies, and then the last sort of account that was leaving, you're allowed to go with it sometimes, and they would hire you, but I felt like it was a very cutthroat industry, and I was like, maybe there's something else. So I went into the next cutthroat industry, which is I went to culinary school. Because why not pick another one that will suck the life out of you.
Uh-huh.
So I had a friend from high school who said, you're always baking, you should go to cooking school. I was, well, is that really a job? She said, I think it is, and I think it is in New York. And at the time, Food Network was so big, and so I went to the French Culinary Institute in Soho, and I thought, what's the worst that happens? I'll have a new skill. It's a 6-month program. I would go to school 8 a.m. to 2 or 3, and then I worked in a bakery from like 4 to 9 or 10 at night. And I did that for 6 months, and it was fun. I mean, it's a trade school, right? So it's like some people were right out of high school. This was their college. Some people had industry experience, but wanted to get the certification. And some of us are right in the middle, just career changers trying to figure out what was next. So that was probably my parents were like, what?
Very
Did you
cool.
not just
Yeah.
did you not just finish your paying off your undergraduate loan? I sure did. I just got a new one. So, but yeah, I did that. And then I thought if I could marry my love of food and my business background from the ad agency, I would find the best job. And that's when I took a position with Whole Foods, which was pretty new in New York at the time. So I spent the next 10 years with Whole Foods. And I think it was Whole Foods that had me move out of New York and come to back to DC where I grew up. So
Yeah.
that's the quick version of how my
Wow.
checkered past.
Very cool. And so you're no longer with Whole Foods. You're doing your own
No,
gig.
do my own
And
gig. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I have so many questions because, I don't know you personally. And so I just got to stalk you through Instagram and
Thank you.
on your website and things. But, I work with middle-aged women. That's what I do. And I've had the whole same meandering life experience like you did,
Yep.
different industries. But still this path. And you say, I've read a couple of different times that your career has been a jungle gym, not a
Mhm.
ladder.
Yeah.
And so looking back now, were those pivots, you say that you were laid off and they became opportunities and stuff, but do you think the pivots were intentional or do you only see it now as you look back on it?
I would say the early days of my career, probably like the first few years out of college and whatever age that is, I don't remember, 20s, 30s. I feel like some of them were, I didn't have the experience to know that there were opportunities at the time, for sure. Yeah, I'd be bummed about it, or you kind of afterwards you're like, I kind of saw it coming, but I didn't really do anything about it because I just figured, what am I supposed to do? And then in the later part of my career, my corporate career, I would say they were more intentional. I mean, when I left Whole Foods, the next position I took was another sort of corporate job with a commercial real estate company. And in my mind, I was like, well, I understand retail as a retailer, but maybe I can learn from the landlord's perspective. And that's what they were, commercial real estate. And I was working with a lot of independent businesses, which I had done when I was in culinary school, but I hadn't put two and two together at that time, right? So, or all through growing up, or my dad owned a business, my grandparents had I never really connected those dots when I was younger. So when I left Whole Foods, I mean, it's a long time to stay in one company. And I thought I would be there forever. And that's not how it worked out. So that one was definitely, it hit me like just in the gut where I was like, I've done so much for this company. I'm a 5-time all-star. Look at me, all these things. And it just was a big gut punch. So in that moment, I was like really intentional. Like, I don't need to be the boss of everything. I'm
Mhm.
just looking for a job where I can contribute. And I liked it. And the next position was great. I didn't really love the real estate part of it, to be honest. And that was kind of a hard fit, but I got to work with a lot of independent businesses. I had a great little team there. It felt like I was like putting on shoes that didn't fit, and I was just trying to make them work. It just wasn't quite right. So from the leaving Whole Foods to leaving Eden's, I think that's where I became much more intentional in the pivots, if that makes sense. Where it was like, I don't necessarily want to have a boss. I don't want to have to prove that I'm really good at what I do over and over and over. And that's what it always felt like for probably the last, I'd say, I don't know, 5, almost, I hate to say, maybe 10 years.
Mhm.
I might be exaggerating, but there was a portion of that where I was like, I got to write another report to convince you that I did the thing, right? It's like, but the thing is happening. I have enough experience now, and so I feel like I can't. I just don't want to do it anymore. I could. I look at job postings now and I'm like, ooh,
Yeah.
that's interesting. And then I remind myself that's not. It didn't bring that much joy anymore. I loved it at the time,
Mhm.
but then I needed to make that pivot and really focus on, like, I'm really good at this and I know that I can help other businesses and I'm just going to go do that.
Very cool.
Does that answer it? Does that answer
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
question?
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I just think it's so valuable, and we will talk about our current connection in a little
Mhm.
bit, but I think the beauty of this topic is that, the three of us have all felt that way and have made a choice to not work for anyone, but we are working for ourselves. And we've talked about this on the show, Kim and I. It's beautiful. I wake up grateful every day, and I'm sure you two ladies too. But the reality is, it's hard sometimes.
Mhm.
It's hard when you're starting, it's hard when you're trying to figure things out, and it's hard as the years go by, where we still probably are going to question ourselves, like, are we doing the right thing? Is this the best way to spend our time? And all those things that we think about as solopreneurs or women entrepreneurs. So it is very timely that we're having this interview with you today because, again, I don't want to jump ahead, but anyways, Kim, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Well, just last
But
week, Rachel and I, we were talking about when it's time to hire an expert, right? And I think this is a good segue into what you do now, because I'm an author. Well, I'm a personal trainer who then owned a gym, who then quit, who got sad, who wrote a book, who now is a author coach, right?
Mhm.
So like all along the way, as I look back, those pivots and that movement in my life has led me to where, gosh, I wish I would have landed when I was 18, right? Because what would my career be like if I found the magic,
Yeah.
40 years ago? But we have all fallen into this place where now we're experts,
Mhm.
and we place ourselves in a position for people to need us, right?
Mhm.
So tell us about now. What do you do? You're a connection concierge, and you're a business whisperer, and you work with women to identify, like, do you help them identify their call, or do you help them take their hunches and make them manifest into real life?
I would say, when I was still at my last corporate job, someone reached out to me who had a product at Whole Foods. And she was like, I'm just having a hard time navigating. I mean, she had a great product and she was, had a really good mission for her business and was very connected to the core values that she had. And someone introduced us, and I was like, I don't work there anymore, but I can help you navigate a little. And I thought, oh, this is really interesting. And maybe this is a thing. And she was the one that said to me, maybe you have a little entrepreneur bug. And I was like, no, I like to get a paycheck and I like to have health insurance. And so it was still, I think, kind of going back to what we said a little bit in the beginning, maybe we didn't hit on it, but I know you guys have talked about it. It's like, we're sort of trained, right? Like, once you get out of high school, you're either going to go to work or you're going to get a job or you're going to, go to college. And that's where that ladder came in, right? Everyone's like, there's a corporate ladder and you're just going to move your way up. And that's, if anyone is listening that is under the age of 40,
Yeah.
there's no corporate ladder. That's the jungle gym I talk about. It goes forward, it goes backwards, it goes sideways. You fall off the jungle gym at some point, you get a new boss. the company gets bought. And I think we were sold this bill of goods, and it's like, stick to it and be the best you can be. And it's like, yeah, stick to it, be the best you can be, but have your eyes wide open. I mean, that is one thing I will say I did. I looked at other people in my companies and I was like, ooh, they're doing something cool, or there's a woman kind of in this leadership role. Let me find out how she's operating. So you can still keep your eyes open, but once this opportunity came up to work with this person, this is not a sponsored post, but her business is called Shea Radiance, and shea butter business, and she wants to support women in Africa where she's from. So she buys the shea butter at a fair price for them, brings it here, makes all this beautiful product so that women here can feel beautiful and all those things.
Mhm.
And so I just loved her. I loved her mission. And that's kind of what clicked for me was I want to work with people who are mission driven or they have a purpose behind what they're doing. I've worked with everybody from startup to been in business a while. I'd say my sweet spot is if you've been in business a little bit and you're just kind of stuck. It's like you're just like, I don't really know what I'm supposed to do next. Things were good, they're fine, but I'm kind of stuck. And a lot of times people come to me thinking they need marketing because my background's in marketing. But I look at it holistically and I say, okay, marketing's not necessarily a problem. We've got some messaging information issues. Messaging ties into marketing. It's like, what are you trying to say and who you're trying to say it to is first and foremost. Sometimes people come to me and they think it's marketing and it's an operations problem. Like your customer service is not great in your store. Like I think we got to fix that before we try to bring any more people here, you know? So I like to look at it overall. So if somebody comes to me and says, I need marketing help, I'm going to look at it beyond the marketing and say, okay, let's figure out what's actually going on and what are you trying to accomplish? There are people who want to grow their business to sell it. There are people that want to grow their business, they just want to have a good income. They want to be able to live their life the way they want. They want to be that person in charge. And other people have no idea. They're just like, I don't know. I had this idea and I decided to go with it. So for me, if you've been in business a couple of years, you're kind of in that, it feels a little like quicksand and you're not really sure which way to go. I like to help guide that path. And typically it ends up being a combination of looking at their business, like, what are you offering? What's your deal? Like, why should anybody hire you? And it can come across a little harsh, but I try to meet them where they are. You know, for some people, it's like they don't know anything about marketing. They just kind of think, post it on social media and that should do it. And that's not really marketing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this is like a perfect time for you guys to share your most recent interaction because Rachel's business is taken off.
Yeah.
You know, new place, new career, new
Mhm.
focus. And so tell us a little bit about what it's like to work together and some of the things you did.
Absolutely. Do you want to
You
tell
want
the
to,
story?
I can start it. I mean, I have so a lot of times you're working with independent business owners, you know, the first thing that comes to mind is like, can I afford this? Right. And and I always say the same things. Like, it's an investment in you and your business. But sometimes people are like, look, I got to figure out how to do this while, maintaining the lifestyle that I have. So I had created a program. I called it Front Burner because people put things on the back burner, right? Always. It's always about us. Like anything we want to do for ourselves, we're like, well, I put that aside. I got to figure this out later. So again, a cooking reference because I'm a cook. Everyone has their favorite burner. Front left is for me, but things you don't want to deal with. Sometimes I call it top drawer, right? But just throw it in the drawer. And we'll deal with that some other time. So I encountered a lot of people like that, and I said, well, if I can create something that's just a little bit more approachable, right? It's like it's not going to be as intense as hiring a consultant to oversee your entire business, but if I can create like 12 weeks of like almost like steps and then we can kind of figure out what you need to do. And so for each person, I mean, every business has similar concerns and issues is what I found. It didn't matter about the industry. It mattered more that they had these things that they were up against the wall with. And so if I can break those down and we could do it in a group setting, Rachel and I did this one-on-one, but I often do it in a group setting. And it really just, she's a really good student too. She was really clear, like, this is what I want to do. This is the business. This is why. And just trying to figure out her path. She would say things like, well, I don't know how to use, I don't care for social media unless it's, just her regular posts. It's like, that's fine, but let's decide what's going to work. Where's your audience? How do we find them? And that's kind of how we started, right? Tell me
Absolutely.
more,
I
Rachel.
think that I mean, I've shared on the show many times how I started as a home organizer. And my first year in business, I, just like most of us women, we take every job that is thrown our way. We cut our prices. We just say yes, yes, yes. And that just happened to work out that I was dealing with a lot of hoarders that first year. And it was at that point where I really questioned it. I'm like, I know I love doing this part, A, B, and C. I'm not qualified, nor do I want to be qualified to help a hoarder, because it's not just cleaning up a mess. It's a very emotional attachment. It's mental. It's, oh, will I get in trouble for saying, I mean, these people are mentally ill, right? I mean, it's a lot of baggage. And I'm 54 years old. There's no way I'm going back to school to deal with. I'm just not doing that.
Yeah.
And, but I want to be a home organizer. How does this work? And Angela had just recently come back to me as her hiring me to be her personal trainer. We started kind of talking about my business, and she told me about her 12-week course. And again, I talk about this all the time on the show, how I truly believe in the universe. When you ask it for something, it delivers. And your 12-week course came at that perfect time. I was open. I knew I was not going to balk at the money. I was just like, I need to do this for myself, A, to figure out, am I really going to try to have a home organizing business? Am I going to be good at it? And what do I really need to do to have a successful business? And all those questions and more were answered during that 12 weeks. And I am just so grateful because it helped me realize that I do know what I'm doing. I just didn't have the skills to do this part, which you helped me get, but I had the skills to do this part. And you just helped me bring everything together. So that made not only the trust I had in myself, but it's just like, you really were there to help me. It was not, well, I'm going to tell you this little tidbit of secret until you pay me $9 million to learn. It wasn't, I didn't feel like
No.
that. And I will be honest, there are some coaches out there that do that shit to you. And I'm just, I was fed up with that. But because I knew you, because we had a past relationship, there was that trust there. And I took a chance on not only you, but myself. And it
Yep.
really paid off. It really did.
That's awesome. I love that. And that's really why I like to do what I do. And you said a couple of things. One, that you have to be open. And that's the thing. Sometimes people come to me. I have somebody, I've just put a proposal together. She had been to some of my, like, I'll do these, like, I used to call them office hours. Just let's come, let's like figure out what we need to do. You know, people come with like a big win, or they come, Rachel's been on some of those. They come with either a big win, or they come with like, I got this little challenge. Sometimes they come just to be in community. Because like I said, I'm a connector. I like bringing people together. So I have a proposal for her, but it was not, you know, I had never sort of pushed her. I kept her on my list of things, or if there's something I thought might be interesting for her. But I feel like the personal connection is super important. The person has to be ready. And also, we're also somewhat hardwired to like, I got to go it alone. You know, just like I said at the beginning, where it's like, I'm going to stand on my 2 feet in New York City, and I'm going to, and it's like, there are people to help, you know, and there are people who want to see you succeed. You just got to find those folks. And, you know, I always tell the story. It's kind of goofy, but like, I met a bookkeeper just at a thing, and she's like, "Who does your books?" I'm like, "I mean, I do them." And she was like, "What do you reconcile at the end of the month?" I'm like, "I mean, if I reconcile, I got a spreadsheet, doesn't have any formulas in it. I just add, you know." She was just like, "You don't have to hire me, but you have to hire somebody." I was like, "Yeah, maybe," you know. But she put that spark in my head that I was like, "What am I doing? I don't even like." I From the story before with my mom, I don't even like doing the math. That's not my jam. Like, there is a professional that will do that, and it's hard because that's your money and you're really focused on trying to make sure you keep it so you can use it. um, and that was like one of the first outsourcing things that I did, was like, gosh, let me get somebody who's an expert. And now I have another one, a new one, newish to me, and she's great. And she's very like, here's what I'm noticing, you know, you're really good at maintaining your expenses, but I'm noticing here, here, and here. And I was like, oh. And so she's more than a bookkeeper. She challenges me to say, huh, Angela, are you doing this because you always have, or is this, you know, that kind of stuff. And so I feel like if you can find these partners, they're just going to help you so much, you know, in everything you do.
Mm-hmm.
Yay, Rachel. She's a
I
good student. I'll say it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's because I wanted it. I wanted
Yeah.
to, and I think that if it would have been a year ago and this opportunity, I wouldn't have been so open. I know that. I know myself. So
Yeah.
timing is everything.
Mhm.
Hmm.
I'm curious because you've been doing this for how long now, Angela?
This is my ninth year.
Okay.
I was just looking at ahead because 2027, I'll have to do a big 10-year anniversary.
Yeah,
Very
you will.
cool. Very cool.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
I'm curious with the rise of social media and AI and because as coaches, like somebody says, well, I ran this through my AI, and you just think, oh no, right? Um,
Yeah.
do you feel like your job is harder now because the expectations and the success stories are so visible?
Hmm. It's a great question. I think it's just different. And I feel like every year in the 10 years has been different. Or even I think back to my corporate jobs when social media began and it was like, we're at Whole Foods and they're like, every store should have a Facebook page. And we realized that's a terrible idea. Now we've got, we were at least in our region responsible for 30 stores and they all had different message, that kind of thing. So for a corporate entity, it was like, what are we doing? Let's pare that back down. So I think part of owning a business is being able to adapt and adjust and navigate, kind of keep your eyes on what's going on. I mean, there are definitely weeks where I'm like, gosh, do I even know anything about marketing anymore? Because I'm like, what is this? Um, but so yeah, it can make it harder. I think the AI thing is hard because I think some people think it's going to do the job for you, and it does not do the job for you. And it's only as good as the prompts you put in, how much you read it. I mean, I work with high school students as well that are in entrepreneurship class, and I'm like, listen, we get it. Like, if you're going to put your resume together and you want AI to help you, that's totally fine. Like, but you better read every line of that resume, because if you have on there, I answered, 150 calls a day as a receptionist at whatever, that is going to be the thing that they ask about. It's got a number to it. I'm like, wow, you answered 150. This must have been a very busy place. And you're going to go, did I say 150? I don't remember that. Like, you didn't write it yourself. So it's not going to be embedded in your brain.
Yep.
It's not saying that you were lying. It might be written in a way that you would not have written it. So I always tell people, like, you got to read it, you got to read it again, and you got to make sure it sounds like you. So it does make it harder now. In fact, and I'll tell this, she's a friend was like, do you use AI for your newsletter? You send it every month. And I said, well, you tell me, do you think I use AI? Like, why are you asking that? Because I was just curious as a curious person. And she said, well, now I think your email back to me is AI. I said, well, no, it's me. She said, you asked two questions in it. And I was like, oh boy. And so I said, both things I wrote, the newsletter, I do funnel it through for grammar, for readability, for my audience. I said, but I wrote, the idea is mine and I wrote it. And I was just like, oh man, do I need to, like, really, is there something I'm doing? But I'm like trained in corporate communication. So everything does, while it has personality, it can be very like, here's the bullet points, here's the quick
Right.
thing. Like, I don't write in prose. Like, I'm not a English major, I'm a comms major, so it's a little bit more focused. Like, here's the 5 things you need to do. So it was an interesting thing, but
Hmm.
I just found she's someone who knows me. So I was like, wow, this is weird. But I think you have to be really cognizant. And there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, if it's a tool that helps you, I say go for it, but use it, use the technology for good and not for evil. Don't
Right.
try to dupe people. Don't try to be like, oh, here's, I don't know, George Clooney surfing. And you're like, we know he's not surfing. Like, stop it. Like, that kind of stuff. I'm just like, if I see dogs and bears are talking to each other, I'm like, well,
Yeah.
what are we wasting our time and energy doing? I mean, it's cute, but like, what's happening here? So I think it can make it harder. I also think back to, like, when they kind of told us that email would make our jobs easier. And maybe it did, but it made us 24/7 accessible, right?
Mhm.
It's like you could go to bed at 10 o'clock and wake up in the morning with 150 emails. Did that really make our lives any easier? Depends how you define it, easy. So I think you have to constantly adjust and see what's working, what works for your business, and and use the tools, but be really smart about it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Agreed. Well, I just think that answering some questions regarding what you do and who you help, maybe some of our listeners are on the fence about starting a business. I want to ask you a couple of things. The first one is, what do you think women apologize way too much for?
Oh
Good
gosh,
question.
that's such a great question, Rachel. Um, I apologize for not knowing. Oh, I'm sorry. Can I ask this question? Oh, I'm sorry. And it's like we don't know everything. I mean, we know a lot. Let's not kid ourselves. But asking the question, I think we apologize for like just the silliest things, right? I would say in business, we apologize for the things we don't know. But it's like if you haven't encountered it, I mean, I have a friend who's a business owner and a food business, and when COVID hit, it's like nobody knew anything,
Right.
and she started realizing that her neighbors where she lived couldn't get certain ingredients, flour or whatever they needed. I don't know. But she was like, well, I have a standing order with my vendor because she runs a food business. So she started ordering and did a Google sheet for her neighbors who will say, I need eggs. And she was able to get eggs when other people couldn't because she was ordering massive amounts of eggs. So she was like, yeah, tell me what you need. Don't be greedy. I'll put your order in with mine. And then she was able to distribute, some eggs and sugar and butter and stuff like that to her neighbors. And it's like, no one taught her that. No one taught her, how do I handle a pandemic? What
Yeah.
she knew was community. I have a
Mhm.
resource someone else needs. And I think that women know this stuff. That's what we know inherently. Like, I don't know how I'm going to solve this, but I know I can. And I know community is important to me. And these are the things that matter. And I'm going to figure that out. So I think we just apologize for not knowing. It's like, you know, I'm going to say it. A bunch of dudes will apply for a job that they're way underqualified for, while we're over here applying for jobs that we're overqualified for because we don't know one thing. We're like, I don't know. I don't know the one thing. It's like,
Yeah.
that's kind of total BS. So I hope that answered it. A
Yeah,
little
that was,
tangent there, but
no,
you know,
that was a great answer.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if a person has a great idea, they're at that pivot point in their life, whether they've been laid off or they've just decided this isn't for me anymore, it's not bringing me any joy, but they have a great idea. What are a couple of tips you can give them as all self-made women now, right? Like stumbling blocks that'll be there when they're first taking off. How can you lighten their load a little bit?
how can me, Angela, favorite daughter?
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
And I just had a client like this end of last year who I wasn't sure if the idea was good or not. I mean, we don't know. Things we don't know. So she came to me and I said, okay, we're gonna have to do some research. And she also didn't have a ton of money. She's a teacher. So she was like, I just had this idea. And I said, let's explore the idea. Let's work together to figure it out. You're gonna have to do a lot of research, but it was all things that she had never done because she'd never been in business. She'd been in education. And so
Mm.
a lot of what we did was like, let's research it. Okay, how do other businesses do this? And I don't want to expose too much because I don't know if she's officially launched yet. She's testing it out, but is that it was a subscription type service. And so it's like, are you envisioning yourself sitting at your dining room table packing boxes and shipping them out? I mean, sure, that's probably how Chow Hound, what's it called? Chew with the dog toys or
Oh,
bark
Doing,
boxes, probably,
doing.
right? That's probably how some of these things may have started back in the, or the cosmetics. But at this point, there's a fulfillment center and someone is doing it, and so all that is like the stuff that people don't think about in their business, right? They're like, oh, well, that's not fun at all. It's like, well, no, it's not fun, but once you figure it out, it can run itself behind the scenes. But a lot, like we needed like 6 weeks of like just exploration. So I was like, I kind of did what I did with Rachel. Like, well, here's your homework assignment. This is what we need to figure out. Is anyone else doing this? What do they charge for it? You know, what's the difference between them and you? Why would they order from you? And then let's look at the logistics of it. Like, again, are you sitting at your dining room table? If you have 50 clients, no big deal. You could probably sit and do that. But if you want to have 50,000,
mhm.
someone else is going to have to do that packing of boxes for you. So those
Mhm.
are the little things that I like to help guide people through. It's like shining a light where they might not see what's going on, because it's like you
Mhm.
have this idea and you're like, well, of course this should work. It's like, well, I hope so. We want it to work, but before
Right.
we even do anything, let's dig around and see what would it take, right? What does it entail? Can you partner with somebody else? Is someone else doing this, but they don't do it exactly like you? Maybe there's a partnership that can be had. So just
Mm.
trying to help them connect those dots and see. That's what I like to do if you're just starting. Um, I also have done a workshop with one of my former colleagues from Whole Foods, which, it's like, I have the best chocolate chip cookie. The grocery store should sell it. That in between, there's a lot of detail in there that if yes, there are people who go from the farmers market to Target, I'm sure, but that is not always the case. It's not the most cases, and there's a lot of details in there that you have to figure out before you make that decision, right?
Mhm.
So that's what I like to do, is kind of like take that complicated things and be like, well, let's investigate it. And it's scary, right? Because you're like, but I have this idea and I want to do it. It's like, that's cool. Let's do the ugly stuff now so that you can do
Yep.
the fun, beautiful stuff later. So that's what I try to do. Oh, the phrase we use a lot, right? Meet them where they are and then just be like, okay, hold up. Here's where I see these roadblocks, or here's where I see, like, I don't know. I've never run a fulfillment type business, but I know they exist. And let's go find the information that we need.
I love
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
Well, that's the
So,
beauty of what you offer, and is like you guide someone along those steps, right? So just like with me, I'm like, I want to organize every woman's closet for them. You're like, okay, great. I want you to do that too, but let's back that up. And just like you said, the steps, you made me go through all of those. And even though there are a lot of home organizers in Greenville, I also realize that there's also a lot of people here and lots of people moving here still.
mhm.
And to, I think for women, especially if you're going to start a business by yourself, to tell yourself every day that there is enough for all of us, I think it takes some of that stress of, well, I need to get my name out there too, and I don't want to spend $3 million a month on marketing, and all that stuff that really overwhelms us. And that was one of the big things that overwhelmed me, was like,
Mhm.
I'm sick of spending money on something that might work. You know
Right.
what I mean? And to have that thought, it's like, you know what? It's going to take time, but it is going to work out if it's meant for me. And I know that there is enough here for all of us, then I'm going to just stop being afraid.
Yeah. I think it goes back to what you said about what do we apologize for? It's like sometimes like, well, it's maybe it's not really an apology, but it's like, well, Susie Jones is a home organizer and Mary Smith is a home organizer. Look at all these. I Google home organizers, and it's like, but Susie Jones doesn't do it like Rachel Lavin does.
Mhm.
She does her own thing and it's fantastic. And then you do your own thing. And I feel like there is room for all of us. It's not a pie with just a certain amount of slices in it. I mean, there are thousands of consultants, thousands of coaches, like, but everyone's, you find the place where you sort of fit in. And it's
Yeah.
funny because now I work with less startups and more people who are in that middle place. It just happens. That's just how it's been recently, that they're just in that middle place where they're like, things are chugging along and everything was cool. And then everything kind of was like, ooh, like what happened? And it's like, I think you said it, Rachel, when you started your personal trainer business, it was 100% referrals. And it was like, this person's going to tell that person. And while referrals are still like, and word of mouth is amazing, that times have changed. And so it goes to what Kim said, we need to sometimes adjust. And it's like, it doesn't mean that you have to be like the social media influencer and you're like online chronically. It's like, where's my audience? This is where my audience is. You have a very visual type business where you can see a before and after. So it's like, okay, here it is. And like you said, it's an emotional type business, right? People are downsizing or they're moving, and it's like you're able to kind of just make it less scary for that client, right? And
Mhm.
I know it's scary. Let me handle the logistics of it so that you can kind of manage your personal side of it. So I think that it just there's room for all of us. We can all kind of be successful, and I think helping each other, right? I connect you with people. I'm like, I'm not great at this. And in fact, in this proposal for this other woman I mentioned earlier, I put in there she needed something specifically kind of technical, and I was like, and I would bring in a colleague to help you with that, because I don't want to pretend I know everything either. It's like, that
Mhm.
is not my area of expertise. Let's find somebody who is.
Yeah.
And I think that community is huge,
It is. And I'm so grateful that, well, I know for sure the three of us do that, but more women are getting comfortable with referring things or letting
Mhm.
other women in, because like you said, we're hardwired to think it's like you're only going to be successful if. and don't expect to be successful if you're trying to, work with other women because they're going to get in your way.
Yeah.
And I think our generation has really put focus on that is not true. We want to break those belief systems and move forward with helping each other, because honestly, I love what you said in the beginning of this interview. It's like we are not capable, even if it shows on social media, of doing this whole thing by ourselves.
Right.
It just doesn't work. We need each other. So what better way to forge relationships, knowing that we can trust each other and paying it forward? Like, I love that. And real quick sidebars, like I share the story all the time of this other organizer that I met here who was so open to letting me ask questions and how did you do this and all the things. And then she ended up hiring me to help her with bigger jobs. It's like, you can't be a woman's woman more than that.
No.
And she really made me feel like, you know what, that's going to be me. I want to pay it forward too. If some young lady comes to me and says, I really want to do this, and I'm going to be like, hey girl, this is what I did. This is, I mean, so I definitely
Totally.
want, yeah. So I love that.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think the whole idea that women can't work together was created by men anyway, who didn't want us working in offices. They were like, oh, they're gonna be catfighting. It's like, you want us to catfight? Relax. Like, we're gonna
Yeah.
be fine.
Yeah.
But again, it was kind of in us that, oh yeah, but I mean, I have girlfriends from freaking middle school that I'm still close with. And it's like we're all in different types of businesses, but anytime any of us, one's a realtor, anytime any of us like, you got a home repair person, and she's like, yep, got it. It's like, even among your friends, if you're able to do that among a group of friends, you're able to do it for work colleagues and
Yes.
business contacts. And anytime someone's like, hey, do you have a graphic designer, do you have a PR person? Yeah, I'm like, yep, here they are. Or haven't found one of those yet. If you find somebody, let me know. I'll add them to my list, and just kind of keep that ecosystem going. It's so much more fun when you have other people.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So what would you say to the woman who's in the middle of her career, who maybe is not looking to grow, right? Maybe a person has found exactly what they think they want to do, and they don't really want to grow because they don't need a 40-hour a week job, but they're just looking to maybe not even pivot, but find more joy in their job.
Mm,
Because it sounds like you work with those women in the middle, right?
yeah.
And why do they
Yeah.
come to you? Do they come to you because they want to blow up, or do they come to you because, gosh, this isn't what I thought it was going to be?
I think it's maybe the second. This isn't what I not only isn't what I thought it was going to be. It's not what it was in year one, two, three, four. Now
Mm,
I'm in five, six, seven, eight, and either the industry has changed, or the world has changed, or they've changed, or their responsibilities have changed. So it's something like that where they're like, it's a little bit like what Rachel said. I used to be able to just get referrals and be like, oh, I'm done, and it's a little bit harder now. So I think what I would tell people is to take a step back and remind themselves, why are they doing the thing they wanted to do, whatever that is, whatever that business is, whatever that career is, whether you're working for someone else or for yourself. It's a good time to kind of stop and go, huh, why did I start this? Because you can forget once you get in the weeds. You're like, this happens a lot, especially if people have employees, right? It's hard. It's
mhm.
different for us because we're one person companies.
Yeah.
But when you have employees, take a step back and like, oh, I hired these people to help me so that I can go on and do bigger and better things for this organization. And you could do the same if you're a solopreneur. You can say, why did I start this thing? Oh, I started it because of this, and maybe I've solved this itch, or I've solved this sort of problem, and now I can. It may not be about growth, but I can. And you said pivot. I can pivot, or I can add this in, um, and start thinking about what's missing. Like, what's the thing that's not being fulfilled? Is it personal? Is it financial? Is it professional? Both of you have written books. I haven't written a book yet, so now I feel like I gotta write a book.
We
But
know a girl, don't we, Rachel?
We know, girl.
okay, so I think that it's just really taking a step back. Most of the time, it's not coming up with new ideas or moving forward. In fact, I think my July newsletter, which should come out next week, is about that. Everything doesn't have to be a reinvention. You gotta reinvent it.
Mhm.
It's like reinvention through being creative and being like, what's missing here? What can I slow down? What's that idea that I had that I need to dust off? that
Mhm.
it was a great idea. It just didn't get my time, my attention. The timing was off. You know, the iPad is an example of that. It started as, I think it was called the Newton. It was a tablet and nobody bought it. It was terrible. And if you read the story of it, they were like, yeah, that's a terrible idea. And they put it away and then they dusted it off as the iPad. The technology caught up, the needs of
Wow.
the people, right? So if you had an idea that you were like, or this happens to me, I think Rachel and I have talked about this too, is that sometimes I'm doing something because I've been doing it for so many years and everybody should love it. So like my free office hours turned into business unplugged, which again, because no one's paying for it, they RSVP and then some people don't show up. I don't take it personally. It's not like I'm like, well, they dislike me. It's just like people get busy or they're not invested in it because it's free or
Right.
whatever it is. And so I'll just sort of take it off. I'll say, okay, I'm not doing it. Let me rethink it. It's still a good idea to bring business owners together, but maybe not the way I did it, or maybe not right now, or could be the time of day I was doing. Who knows? But I can take a step back now and say, just because it was my baby doesn't mean that I can't, criticize it and say, oh, it just didn't work the way it once did. So I would advise to stop, slow it down, look at the business you run now, and think about the business you want it to be,
Mhm.
and work from there.
I
Great
love that.
advice, ladies.
Mhm.
Great advice. I think that's the also another thing for solopreneurs. We're so wrapped up in every detail because we think we have to do everything that that pause that you're talking about, which is super valuable. And I actually really credit you when I was in that course that you did from, I mean, I was grateful and lucky enough that I got to have you all by myself, but that that last few months of last year, I really took any kind of job off the table and I focused solely on what you were asking me to do.
Hmm.
And for me to do that without fear, it feels so good now because I was able to dedicate all my focus to what we were working on together.
Yeah.
And I think that if anyone is on the fence about hiring a business coach, my experience with Angela was life changing and game changing and business changing. A, because you are who you are, but B, because like we talked about, I was open, I was ready, and I took the time to take that pause in my business to ask all those questions that you just brought up. And when I came out the other side 12 weeks later with the answer is like, oh, I do want to do this, but I don't want it to look like that. I want it to
Right.
look like this. And
Yep.
it was, I mean, again, I can't tell you enough how grateful I am because it
Ah,
really,
yeah.
it changed my business for me.
Well, I'm so glad. I mean, yeah, my dad used to say it takes two to tango. So the two of us tangoed. I was, pushing you and then you were kind of running with it. And I feel like, yeah, that's what we have to do sometimes. You need someone who's going to also not just kind of blow smoke up your booty, right? And be like, Rachel, everything you do is perfect. Because that happens too. And it's like, that doesn't help anybody. That's for your girlfriends to be like, oh my God, you're amazing. We can say it to ourselves too, but also we have to be real about it and be like, you know what? Last week we talked about this. Seems like you're not into it. What's going on? Like, let's figure it out. I have so many clients of our age group who are like, I hate social media. And I'm like, your audience may not even be on social media. I
Right.
don't know. We haven't discovered it yet. But what do you hate about it? You hate putting yourself out there? Because that's different. Because that's different than hating the actual social media. It's like if you're afraid to put yourself out there, it's going to be harder to run a business. But it
Mhm.
might not be social media, right? It might be email. It might be something else. It could be, we just have to figure that out. But
Hmm.
so many who come to me like, I don't want to do that. I'm like, okay, well, why?
Yeah.
Hmm.
No
I
one's ever
was
asked
saying
them
that
why.
to you too, because I just felt like at that time, social media was used to, it was phony to me. It was phony, like, oh, I'm this person and I'm doing all these things. And it's
Yep.
like, good for you.
Yep.
I want to reach people, but I can't lose who I am.
That's right. And
You,
people can tell when you're not being authentic and real. And maybe that's because again, we're women of a certain age. We kind of see through the BS at this point.
Right.
But I think most people can see when it's so put on. And one of my early clients, she was a baker, and she's like, do you have anything to post? And I said, I guarantee you have a KitchenAid mixer on that counter with a bunch of pounds of butter and some flour and it's a big hot mess over there. I want you to take a picture of that. Post that. That's the behind the scenes. That's what people want to see. Like, yeah,
Yep.
it's a messy freaking process making whatever she was making, and then she texted me one day, she said, oh, I'm at this really cool bookstore. It's only cookbooks and food books. I'm like, well, isn't that interesting for somebody who is a food person? How about take a picture of that place and just post it? Like, it
Mhm.
doesn't have to be this perfect thing. Maybe
Yeah.
that's another thing is, what do they say? Perfection is the enemy of the good. Like, just trying so hard for it to be perfect. It's like, no, no, nope.
You know,
It just,
yeah, that has been one of the biggest things for me in my business is everyone wants it to be perfect. And I can't be out there until I perfected it, or I can't open my mouth until I know it for sure.
mm-hmm,
Right? But in a world that feels very contrived and made up and artificial these days, I think people are being drawn towards real. They want to hear you
agree.
slip up. They want to hear an in a sentence. They want to see the flower flying in the air or the messy closet or
Right.
whatever it
Do,
is. Just
do you
do it,
remember
right?
remember during COVID when everybody went on Zoom and all that, and like people's cats were walking across the
Yeah.
keyboard or a kid was coming in? I feel like that broke it wide open. It's like, oh, the
Mm,
facade is gone. This is how people live at home. Kids are coming in, cats are jumping, things are falling down. It's like that's just the real life of it. And for some people, if they don't like that, that's cool.
yeah.
Go do your fantasy thing. That's not the people that I'm trying to attract to work with. It's like
Right.
seeing some of the imperfections is, I mean, we're not perfect people. I mean, we three are perfect people, but we're not perfect people.
Yeah.
We got,
Agreed.
we're people. Like that's just the way it is. So there's something else you said, Rachel, that slipped my almost 55-year-old brain. I don't know what I was going to say.
You're allowed to say Menno brain on our show.
Minnow brain,
Mhm.
mental pause.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't remember.
Well, because we're all about living a full life, you've got this great job, right? And so there's a woman listening who thinks, I want to do what she does. But what do you do when you get stuck? Who do you turn
Me?
to? Or, yep, because we are firm believers in coaches need coaches, right, Rachel?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, tell us a little bit
Okay.
who you count on and what your next moves are. What are you exploring?
Yeah. So the people I count on, I have a few. I have my friend Melina. Maybe you guys will talk to her at some point. She's great, and she's moved from DC to live most of her time in Mexico City. She's younger than us, and she did that whole quit the corporate. She had a really big corporate job, quit, started her own thing, and me and her and another woman, Natalie, whose office I'm in now, who was one of my clients as well as a friend. We used to have this. We called it a special circle where we would have like a monthly call or meet up together when we all lived in the same city. And it was like our areas of focus were very different, but we, again, same idea. It was like, well, how are you solving this problem? Have you seen this? And frankly, I think because Melina's a little younger and a little, I don't know, I call her hip. She's going to listen to this and be like, I am not hip. But sometimes she would be like, here's a piece of technology that'll help you, Angela. Like, connect these dots or make this easier for you. And so I feel like just those are the people I go to. And Yeah, I would talk to them. I talk to people I used to work with, or I'm just like, hey, I'm working with this client and this is the deal, and I'm trying to figure this out. So it just depends. Um, but yeah, I do like to ping people all the time. And I'm also, like I said at the beginning, I'm a super connector. Like I love to stay connected with people. So I will just, you know, randomly on a Tuesday be like, oh, I got to message this one, because I haven't heard from them in a while. And it's not that I'm like, I'm going to get something out of them. It's more like, oh, I haven't talked to her in a while.
Yeah.
Let me just send her a quick text and say what's going on, what's happening. And so that kind of fuels me. And what's next? That's a good question. I had to think about that for 2027, year 10. I don't know. I love doing these kinds of things. I love doing these interviews. I'd love to do more public speaking. I've done that a bit, at different conferences or different groups. I think it's a nice way to get messages across to multiple people. The workshop I did with my friend about how to get your product into retail, that was really fun because then she and I could collaborate. And I think there's other groups that might be interested in that type of workshop. It was a 3-day Zoom thing, 1 hour a night, just on the financial part, the packaging and marketing part, and then just the logistics of selling things into retail. So that was really fun. So I don't know. I'm kind of open to ideas. What else? What else do you guys think I should be doing?
Well, I
Like,
definitely think that you in the high school, how you're helping those kids
Oh
like
yeah.
realize it's not all influencer lifestyle, and you're like, hey, there's some things you got to do. I love that for you because your delivery is very real, but it's also, you're still, I don't care if you say you're 55 plus, you are still young and energetic and hip and all the things. So I think they'll relate to you. So I love
Yeah.
that age group for you.
It's fun. Yeah, I don't know if Kim knows it, but I work with a high school not far from me that's got a entrepreneurship programs, young women's entrepreneurship program. Big shout out Joy Lawson, the director, the teacher, who is amazing, and the students are fantastic. And it's a 2-year course. Like it's 2 years of
wow.
junior and senior in high school. Junior year, she teaches all the foundations of running a business, everything from their ideation to creating their logo to the legal parts of their business. And then the second year, they actually launch the business. End of their junior year, they do a showcase where family and community members can come see them, just like a science fair. And then their senior year, they go through the rest of like running this business, and then they do a pitch competition similar to Shark Tank, kind of, and they win
Wow.
real prizes and real judges, like judges that we get from the community. And these kids are remarkable. And I mean, the one that won, I want to say, not this year, last year, she's at Howard University and she is still running her hair care business. And she's in the business school learning the next steps of running a business. So I love it. It's super fun. They do teach me a lot,
Mhm.
especially like lingo. I'm like, wait, what? What are we talking about?
Mhm.
Wait, say that again.
Yeah, she should market that. I former school board member here,
Oh,
right?
uh-huh.
Mom of a teacher. I just think those are things that are so important. And like you're perfecting it in this small little space. But oh my
Yeah,
gosh, every school needs to have that program, right? Or something
totally.
similar because kids, not everyone's meant for college. Not everyone's meant for the attempting the corporate ladder.
Hmm. Yep.
Um,
And for some of these
so
kids,
easy.
like they'll go to college, but they may not run the business anymore, but those skills are so transferable. And
Yeah.
it's so good to be able to say, I actually ran a business for a couple of years and to be able to say, and I hated it, right? Or I didn't want to carry it on. I wanted to go to college and do something more traditional or whatever it is. It just gives you this exposure to certain things. And the school also has a pre-law program. Some students are in both. So it's, oh yeah, it is a private school. But they have a pre-law program. So you could be in both. Now you're learning the law behind what you're trying to do. Yeah, it's really cool. They have an engineering, leadership and engineering and design for kids who want to get into engineering, robotics, all
Wow.
that kind of stuff. So it's pretty cool. But the entrepreneurship one that's my sweet spot. I help all the career programs, but that one is really where my attention has been. So
Yeah.
thanks.
So
Yeah, I
cool.
did teach. I did teach there for a short time while I was doing my consulting, and teachers have people who give teachers a hard time. You have no idea unless you've done it. Like they wanted career people to come teach some of these classes. So mine was a hospitality course, and I'm teaching. I think I had 2 units, let's say, maybe three at max. I mean, the English teacher is teaching like 8 classes, all different things, just having to grade all that stuff. And I was
Yeah.
just like, and mine's an elective, so I would just be like, if you girls, it was all girls school, I would say, would you girls just turn in your assignment? You will get the points. I don't care if you just wrote, Miss Rakis drives me crazy. Turn it in. We'll discuss it once I get it. It would be so funny. They're like, well, I had a math test. I'm like, so I couldn't, I was like, I cannot. I love them though. I still connected with some of my students who are just getting out of college now and stuff. It's so fun. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So cool.
yeah. So what else, ladies? Did I
What
answer all the
haven't we
questions?
asked you that we should have?
You should ask if I still bake.
Well, I already know the answer to that, but feel free to share
Rachel and I often talk during our workouts about baking, which is really the best way to work out
about food in
about
general.
food in general. So
Hmm.
yes, I do still like to bake. I did have the dream of having a bakery one day, but then once I worked in a few bakeries, that's a very tough thing. Not that I'm afraid of hard work, because it's hard to stand up all day.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so I'm always, if you need to find me, I'm constantly looking for a interesting restaurant, recipe, bakery, coffee shop. I love a cute little coffee shop. I love a cute little town with a cute little coffee shop.
Yeah.
Love that.
So there, that's it. That's the only other thing you need to know about me.
Nice.
And my family's Greek, so anything that has to do with Greek food or Greek culture, I'm all about. I don't know if that matters to anybody, but that's me.
Mm-hmm.
No, it totally matters. Well, Angela, thank you so much for spending this hour with us. I obviously will be forever grateful for you, but I hope women listeners who are at that place where they're like, should I have done this business? Or I really want to do this business. The thing I hope you take away is that there is help. And there are women like Angela who are there to truly help you and guide you along your path.
Yep. And that leads us right to, how do we find you? If
Oh,
we want your help, how do we find you? What's
you
the
can
best?
find me in all different places. You can find me well, my company is Favorite Daughter LLC, not to be confused with the clothing lines, but that LLC, and there's I have a website. I'm on LinkedIn as both Favorite Daughter and Angela Rakis. I'm on Instagram, is probably where I do most of my posting and fun things. That's also Favorite Daughter LLC. If you're a Facebook person, I'm on there for my business, but you
Yeah.
know, basically whatever you see on Instagram is going to be on Facebook for the business. But yeah, find me, send me an email, Angela at favoritedaughterllc.com. And yeah, let's connect. And even if I'm not the right person, I'm a person that'd be happy to talk to you and say, here's what I think you should do. So yeah, that's
Well,
me.
and for sure, check out her website and her social media because she has so many offerings and so many ways to connect with other business owners that it's an amazing website and an amazing Instagram page. So definitely just check her out for
Thanks.
sure.
And also sign up for my email. I won't spam you. I send one a month. And it's usually like, if you're feeling stuck, try this. Actually, the one in July, that's funny because I'm like, I think I'm starting to sound like a broken record, but I think that there's certain foundational things every businesswoman should just kind of do. Like take that pause, stop, reflect, figure out what's going on, figure out what you want to do next. So yeah, sign up for my emails. It's fun too. I put a favorite business of the month at the end. Um, I will be putting this podcast there and I love your podcast too, you guys. I really appreciate you having me on. I think you guys are fantastic.
Thank
Right.
you.
We're having fun. Maybe we should make a business out of this. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, let's find some sponsors, everybody. Like that's really all they need is just a couple of sponsors.
Yeah.
And I mean, Amy Poehler can do it. Why can't you guys? That's what
Because
I
we don't have any famous friends.
say. I feel like she would love hanging out with us, honestly.
Yeah. Hey,
She's a
Amy
girl's
Poehler.
girl.
Yeah.
Amy
She is a
Poehler, come on
total
down.
girl's girl. I know.
So,
All right, Amy, come on the Whole Woman podcast, please. Thank you. Thank you in advance.
thank you in advance.
Yeah. All right, ladies. Well, this has been great. I have enjoyed this hour so much. And
Thank
It
you.
went by like that.
it did. It
Yeah,
always
I would
does.
too.
It always
Yeah.
does. So, well, thank you. And listeners, check out Angela. I'm telling you, I knew of her. Rachel talks about her all the time, not just on the show, but I mean like personally, she shares tips and tidbits. And Angela told me this, you should try this when I'm stuck, and she's trying to help me through. But I really took a deep dive this week, before we talked to you, into your website and into your social media. And there's some really great stuff there. So check her out. Check her
Yeah.
out.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks,
Check me
Anne.
out. Thank you guys. Bye.
See you
Bye.
next week. Bye.
Bye.